the representative of the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, the leadership of UFAS, the leadership of AFAS, the leadership of the Global Forum for Rural Agricultural Advisory Services, all distinguished partners, private sector, academia, all different categories of agricultural extension advisory service practitioners, the farmer organizations, the youth, the media, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm called Sadik Kassim. I'm representing Dr. Yona Baguma, who is the Director General of NARO. But before I deliver of what is expected from NARO, I want to make a few comments as a member of UFAS. I want to make a few comments as a member of UFAS. Why I'm very, very passionate about extension. Why I'm very, very passionate about extension. In fact, many people thought that I specialize in extension when in the university. No, I'm a plant breeder. I did plant breeding and biotechnology. But I'm very, very passionate about extension. One, why I was very passionate about, or I've been very passionate about extension is that when I was at my secondary level, one time I dropped off from school because of fees problem. So what I did at that time was that when my father would be going to their farmers group, I would follow him. Then that's how the opportunity came for me to go back to school. So at one time, an extension worker from Lutheran World Federation came to train our farmers, and then I was translating. And then he told the farmers at the end of the training that they would be having a workshop. And in that workshop, they would prefer a farmer representative to come back and train the farmers. And the farmers unanimously agreed that me, who was helping to translate, I go. So I went. And there, God blessed me with the knowledge. I became one of the distinguished participants. And among the many extension workers, I was told that I should not go and only support the farmers in that smaller group of mine, but I should support the farmers across the sub-county. I was given a bicycle. Now, I could not use that bicycle because I knew at one time I was to go to school. I was using the old bicycle of my father. After 1 year, we went back for a workshop like that. People appreciated my report, but there was uproar everywhere that this is child labor. And they asked my opinion whether I would go back to school. I said, yes, my problem was fees. So if I was allowed to sell the bicycle, I would go back to school. They said, okay, you can sell the bicycle. So I sold the bicycle, plus the little savings that took me back to school. So I felt I could pay back better to the communities through extension, actually, not through other ways. Not through other ways. So that's how my passion for extension developed. To the extent that one time, I was working with him actually at IITA. I was working an associate breeder for IITA. And my member of parliament, they didn't see. But then Honorable James Baba brought farmers all the way from Koboko to see technologies at Namulonge. That thing inspired me. I said, am I in the right place? Or I would have gone to support him to deliver for my farmers. So they did not know, for the second year, I didn't renew my contract with what? With the IITA. I decided to go to become a district nuts coordinator. When actually, economically, I was doing better at IITA, but I decided to go. Because I wanted to position myself to give back to the community that brought me back to school. So I went back. When I went back, I still gained that passion to deliver to my community. This lady Beatrice, I got to her. Beatrice, you may stand up now in this different way now. Yeah, this lady was working with the UGNAEW Global 2000. And they were promoting a concept called one-stop center association approach. One-stop center under the UGNAEW Global 2000. And surely, I passionately implemented their gospel. I passionately implemented. Do you know how I did it? And I wanted this now, our extension workers who are working in the government, to listen properly. To listen properly. I was actually trying to get the resources which are delivered through government, but to support the informal, I call it informal extension system. These people I call more of volunteers. I call groups like AFAS, OFAS, and the different extension groups that are not in government payroll. I consider them more or less like volunteers. Because really, as Patience has put it, the level of support to them is very, very minimal. But they are very passionate, they deliver. So my role in the government office was, how would I access resources to support them? I came 6 months. When the salaries for a district nuts coordinator were accumulating. And you see, there's an element which is wrong. I'm a civil servant. There's some element which is sometimes wrong in us. We like the software spending. Per diems and that kind of thing. No, sometimes it's not the one that can transform society. So as I was received in the district, many technical people thought I was going to create a lot of trips to the villages to familiarization and that kind of thing. But I had a different thought, because I came when by then the former vice president was very passionate about rice, and I think many people should have known it. The former vice president, Bukenya, was very passionate about rice, and because of that, and also because of the effort which NADS had put on, there was a very bumper harvest in that region. But there was no single mill, so they would pound the rice. So now I said, this money which came through the salary of district nut coordinator, which I had accumulated before I was recruited, I needed to use that money to put a small mill for the farmers, a small rice mill for the farmers. So I decided to write a concept. I know the civil servants so much, my colleagues. So I wrote that concept. I came to NAS Secretariat. There was no better agricultural delivery entity that was any better than NADS. But we betrayed the NADS. It was me only maybe who used the NADS, and a few others that I know also, used the NADS to leverage on how we could support the communities. So I wrote NAS Secretariat. I said, I have this money accumulated. I needed to use that money to put a small house and then put a small rice huller. Now, when I came, it used to be very strange because NADS was then focused more on advisory. more on advisory, without much of the hardware. Now, I always had also my favors. I thank God. By then, the executive director of NATS, Dr. Salim Nandi, decided to send Dr. Oriokot, who was by then the technical services manager, to go to Koboko to check whether my concept works. I want you to take what my colleagues have said here earlier about partnerships. And this lady was talking about also humility. These are tools for an extension worker. So at that time, my partners that I was to create was the resident district commissioner, the district chairperson, and the distinguished leadership of the district to be the one receiving Dr. Oriokot, so that that decision should be accepted. He should accept to allow us move to implement my concept. So they received Dr. Oriokot well, and Dr. Oriokot was well overwhelmed. But also I did my tricks, which are positive. I made the farmers in one sub-county collect all available rice in one store, so that Dr. Oriokot can appreciate that there's a problem here. How would you pound all this kind of rice? And exactly they did that. So Dr. Oriokot was overwhelmed. He could not pronounce yes, but he was visibly in the positive thinking. Before he would communicate back, everybody knew that I should go and proceed with the concept because my boss was very positive. So I started implementing that. So when Beatrice came, it gave me another energy that I was now able to write another proposal, still to attract money from government, from NUSAF now, Northern Uganda Social Action Fund, to implement the one-stop center. And what now I did, another group that was implementing extension workers informally are the people they call the District Farmers Association, which used to be supported under DANIDA, and there are also more of volunteers. So I said, no, instead of creating a parallel body to come and manage the one-stop center, I should bring them to be there, to settle there. And we use the government resources. We use the government resources to use that other informal arm. You see, why that informal arm? Persons did not come out clearly on one thing, but I know the commissioner extension will come out. The farmer extension ratio. The farmer extension ratio, when measured with the public extension workers, is overwhelming. One extension worker covering how many farmers is overwhelming. So the only way we can do is to leverage in these groups that are more of volunteers, such as OFA, such as the District Farmers Associations, such as the youth, whatever groups, that we need to leverage on them to bridge that gap. So that was what I was doing. And so my passion for extension came from there. But there was again one element which continued to be wrong. Whereas extension is underfunded, undersupported, even the one of public, the expectation of the society is over too much. Actually, any poverty in the community is associated with weak extension services. You see, you want to milk a cow that you have not fed well. You want to milk a cow that you have not fed well. So those blames came. So I said, oh, maybe to prove that I also work, let me come back to the university and do a PhD in plant breeding and biotechnology, and maybe go to research so that they would appreciate us. I would be appreciated at least once in a while. So as I came to research, because of also my background having as a work as a district NATS coordinator, then I now became as I am now, the Deputy Director General in charge of technology promotion. And again, I'm suffering. I'm one of the few Ugandans who enjoy my holidays. I'm always busy. But they will say, NARO technologies are not visible. NARO technologies are not adopted. And now, therefore, you are doing nothing. And then I say, now, what is it? So, as the chair has said, I said, maybe, as I strengthen linkage with our public extension system, I should also strengthen linkage with offers. That's why we have signed a direct MOU. So I believe that really research alone cannot do. Extension alone cannot do. When we work together, we can have a synergy that can transform agriculture and the country. So let me summarize what I have put here. A few facts. NARO is an agent of MAIF. NARO is an agent of MAIF. There was a time now when I had left Abi, when I had left Koboko, and I was now at Abi as a director of research. And then I heard that my boss, who was the district production coordinator, was at the verge of being arrested just because of a mistake of a driver. Just because of a mistake of a driver. So I drove myself very fast. When I reached the police, I knocked. That you are where from? I say I'm from MAIF. Because the only way I would get in is to say I'm from what? MAIF. So I said I'm from MAIF. So they allowed me in. And then that's when I decided to say, no, you see, NARO is an agent of MAIF. So I'm based at the regional level. You get it? I'm based at the regional level, and therefore I've represented the commissioner responsible. I've come to talk for my district production officer. And I told them, if you humiliate him by putting him in for a mistake, which is of the driver, then in future the farmers will not take him seriously. Now government will be paying him without the people listening to him, and that will be dangerous. So they did not go ahead. They did not go ahead. So, but I want you to know that for one purpose. Sometimes in many gatherings, they will say, MAIF is absent, NARO is present. But NARO is an agent of MAIF, but our role is to coordinate, oversee, and guide agricultural research in Uganda. The mission of NARO is to innovate for sustainable agricultural transformation, and the NARO conducts research in all aspects of agriculture: crops, livestock, fish, forestry, and cross-cutting areas. Our goal is to enhance agricultural productivity, production, commercialization, and agro-industrialization through generating and promoting innovations, research technologies, products, and services. Now, why we should come really together? I want to give some 3 examples. Over time, NARO has generated 10 coffee wilt disease-resistant varieties, which can yield up to 3.9 tons per hectare, compared to the local ones, which can yield up to only 1.5 tons per hectare, with all the best attributes. But is this now what our farmers are getting? Our farmers are not getting. That gap between 1.5 and then 3.9 is very wide. Where is the bridge? Dr. Pearson said it, extension is the bridge. It is the extension that can enable the farmers to bridge that gap. Maize. NARO has already 45 widely adapted stress-resilient maize varieties, including hybrids, that can yield up to 8 to 10 tons per hectare, compared to only 3 tons per hectare, which I'm sure now what the farmer is getting. So research alone cannot transform the farmer. You can see that wide, from 8 to 10 to about 3. NARO again came with the drought-tolerant, high-yielding, and nutritious pasture varieties that can improve milk production, even from our local breeds, at least from producing 2 to 3 liters to at least producing up to 6 to 8 liters. But what is the scenario like currently? Is that the production? No, because there is that gap, and the extension is the bridge. So when you see critically, we had been having gaps, and I thank my colleague, we call them twin brothers, because he's in extension, I'm also passionate about extension. We call ourselves twin brothers, persons. He says still there's some small gap in the research to extension farmer linkage to translate and bridge those gaps. And he has proposed ways of addressing them. There are also gaps in farmer market feedback gap. There's a gap in that feedback that comes from the farmer and market, that there's gap there. There is an information to action gap. So these 3 gaps are what exactly Dr. Persons is talking about, that we need to professionalize you, all of you who are here, who are passionate about extension. We need to professionalize you. But I want to emphasize, in addition to what he explained, professionalism, I want to demonstrate with evidences. Despite my own personal effort of working as a district nurse coordinator, why I was saying nurse was a good model was that it was actually giving money directly under the control of the district nurse coordinator. So it is up to you how you use this money with your colleagues in the department, but how you use it also with the farmer organizations and how you improve it. It is up to you. But despite all that, one time when FAO organized a meeting for streamlining HIV and AIDS in extension services, they took us by then to Entebbe. There are these people who are by then living with the HIV AIDS, and as part of the workshop, we were to meet them. When they saw us, when we were introduced as district nurse coordinators, unanimously they believed we were corrupt people. Unanimously they believed we were corrupt what? People. They saw us with that negative lens. With that negative lens. 2, I had been, and up to now actually, I've been a member of by then local NGO, local NGO in my place. So one time when we were also in a gathering of the local NGOs, when I introduced myself as a chairperson of the NGO, people were comfortable. But when I was demanded, what work were you doing? When I said I was a district nurse coordinator, they were like, how can a devil be among angels? So I faced those kind of challenges. I faced those kind, and it is real. It is real that time. NATS was an avenue where government gives money, not through the chief administrative officer, the district chairperson, but to we, the extension workers, to handle like this. Not all, but some people betrayed us. So when Persons is talking about professionalizing you people, whether the public, whether the private, take these 5 core parts of professionalism seriously. 1 core, that one you are good at, competence. Competence, you are competent. Most of you are very, very competent. That one he will achieve. The second one, reliability. Some of you are not reliable. Some of you are not what? You see, for the farmer, when you say, I will come tomorrow, and then tomorrow you don't come, and then even you put off your phone, or you begin dodging the calls, then you are not reliable enough. The next time, the farmer will not take you serious. So the second important core of professionalism is the reliability as an extension worker. The third core, which I'm sure also not all of you, although he will standardize it, accountability. First of all, whom are you accountable to? Whom are you accountable to? You see, I wanted you people not to separate two things. That when I'm in my office, in my office, the most person I'm accountable to is my boss or even the minister who is now here represented. But then on Friday, as a Muslim, I'm accountable to God. No. Each day you live, you are directly accountable to God. Each day you live, you are directly accountable to who? So when you are behaving in society as an extension worker, you see why I'm talking to you is that for you, you deal with the most vulnerable part of the community. The most vulnerable part of the community. So unless you implant in you that you are every day accounting directly to God, you cannot lie to the farmer that you are sick when actually you are just walking, because it's only God who is seeing. Your other boss is lied or easily, you cannot see. You can imagine this. So that word accountability, account for everything. But by the way, we will be accounting before God. We will be accounting. We will be accounting for many things. For the wisdom God gave you, all of you got diplomas, degrees, and what? You will account for that wisdom. Government and the NGOs give you money, not for you, for serving mankind. Before God, you will account. Actually, if you're a public servant, you think that the money of government is the money of government you are spending. That money was given to you by God. It is God who has positioned you as a commissioner, as a minister, as a what. So at one time, you will be accounting for it. So that element of accountability in professionalism is very high. The other one, the lady said, respect. You respect. Respect the farmers more than the minister. Respect the minister, because what do you need from the minister? The minister is more powerful, wealthy, and what? So if you don't respect him, if he's annoyed, let him go. But the farmer needs your service. The farmer needs your service. And for you to be able to deliver that service, you need to respect the farmer. You need to respect the farmer. The fifth, which sums all that I have talked, is the integrity. Can we declare that the moment Maif creates all the standards, you know, professionalism sometimes can be enforced, and he talked of a word standardized, and then registration and certification, isn't? That certification, that registration, that certification should be just a fulfillment of compliance, should become a norm, should influence your behavior. So I felt I had to summarize that for you. So we have signed an MOU with the offers for the obvious reason that I have told you, to work closely with the NARO, with the Maif, to ensure that we bridge that gap of yields between what research is able to generate and what the farmer is able to get now. Through the various tools, which I don't want to repeat, the chairperson and they explained very well the various extension models. So using those models, we are sure that we would be able to transform the society. So the single message my DG told me is that it is not technology alone. It is not advisory services alone, but it is the intersection of the two that can transform the sector. I thank you so much.